In this video, I'm going to go over on how to take a reading test and a math test for the YTOP. So we're going to discuss how to take the reading test, how to take a math test, just some test taking strategies. What I would recommend you do right now is just pause the recording for a second and write down some test taking strategies that you already use when you're taking a reading test, or some test taking strategies that you already use when you're taking a math test. It's really important to analyze what you already know before you get into something new, so you can start building upon what you know. So we're going to start with the reading test. Tips that I have for taking a reading test is read the selection 2 times prior to answering any questions. Now on the YTOP, it's really nice because you can have the text down this side and the questions down this side. You can get rid of the questions and just read the text and then put the questions back in. That's all done in your tools. If you need to see how that's done, I would really recommend getting in and taking a practice test, and I sent that video out before. But read your selection 2 times, apply the 7 reading strategies, make a quick graphic organizer, and you'll be given paper at your site when you're taking the YTOP, so you can make a quick graphic organizer on a piece of paper. And be sure to go back to the reading selection to double check your answers. So we have been working on the 7 magnificent reading strategies. It seems like forever, but each of your class, so you'll want to do some connecting, predicting, inferring, questioning, summarizing, visualization, retell synthesis, which that comes in with your graphic organizer, and monitor and clarify. So make sure that you are using all of these reading strategies when you're taking the test. So I'm not going to read the selection that's been provided, but one of the things you might want to look at, you can pause this and read this on your own, but one of the things you want to look at is down here they have numbers next to the paragraphs, because sometimes they'll just say in paragraph number 4 or paragraph number 7 or something like that. So what I would recommend you do is pause the recording right now, read this through, and then when you're done with this, unpause it and go to the next page. This is page 2. I would still recommend that you pause it and read through it, so when we're going through the questions, it makes more sense. Okay, my favorite go-to graphic organizer is the fact outline. I really like this outline because it's very easy to fill out, and you don't actually need to draw the whole thing out, but you can just really just type in the information very quickly. So somebody, it's the narrator, doesn't want to start a business, but his father makes some. So if you do something like this, you'll notice I didn't even write a complete sentence for most of these, but it organizes the information so I know I've understood what the story was about. Now, how to figure out answers. You'll get questions like this. Read this sentence from paragraph 7. We watched them happily chomp away on the brush, weeds, and shrubs in the fenced area. What does the phrase happily chomp away suggest about the goats? And you'll see stuff like this, and if you don't know the answer right away, you can do some things like go back through the passage and reread it, apply the study skills that we have talked about with the 7 reading strategies using context clues. The other thing you could do is process of elimination, and I don't know if you've ever done this before, but cross off the ones you already know. So if you didn't know what happily chomp away suggests about the goats, you could go, well, I know that happily does not mean that they're alarmed, so I can just take that one off immediately. I'm just going to cross this off. Now, you may not be able to cross it off on the actual test, but in your mind, you're like, okay, A is done. But I don't know about the rest of them. So I'll go back through. So we could go back through to paragraph 7, reread the whole thing, and that can kind of give us a better idea of using the context clues here. So that is one thing that I recommend that you do, is just go through and go back and double check your answers. Process elimination is just a really great test-taking skill when you're in a test like YTOP, where you can just immediately just get rid of answers. But if you still don't know the answer, then go back and reread the section and find that passage. Remember, your YTOP is not a timed test, so you can have all the time that you want to take this test. Okay, so that's how I would recommend doing a reading test. Now, Mrs. Holden sent me some math strategies here, and some of them are important to go through if you don't know this. But look at this. Read all the choices before choosing the answer. Eliminate the answers you don't know are right. So that's process elimination. Both in reading and math, if you're not sure what the answer is and you've spent more than 3 to 5 minutes on the reading that particular question, just take your best guess and move on. Because Mrs. Holden is right. Usually your first choice is correct unless you misread the question. You will be given scratch paper. And she really recommends writing down key formulas in the margin of your scratch paper, so if you forget them when you're in the middle of the test, you can go back and look at those formulas. You will not be given a formula sheet. You're expected to know the formulas. You will not be allowed to bring in a formula sheet. You will not be allowed to use your cell phone, your smartphone, or anything like that. All of that is it's not allowed. But if you can remember them from the time you walk into the door to the time you get your scratch sheet of paper, which you can ask for that right away and just write them down, then that's really going to help. So today we went over some test-taking strategies for a reading test and a math test. I still recommend that you do a practice test. Get in and take a look at what the YTOP has to offer in your practice test areas. And if you have any questions about reading, reach out to me, Dr. Kerr, and about math, reach out to your math teacher.